To make tattoo stencils like a pro, we have to approach every piece artistically. We have to understand our shadows, how to break down the shadows, the highlights. Once we understand how to break it down, we can make a stencil of it and create a plan of how to build our tattoo once the stencil is on the skin. So in terms of this circle, if I wanted to stencil this, it's just as simple as a circle. If I wanted to stencil this is as simple as a circle and a bit of a dotted line to show you where that shadow is. These two are basically the same. All I'm going to do is mark out that highlight, mark out this shadow, and mark out the outline of the shape. And then when it comes to this end one, I can identify the outline, the outside shape, my highlight, where the shadow begins to start. I can identify where my core shadow is. And so the fact that I can understand all of my different types of highlights and shadows helps me understand how to break down a picture. If I know how to break down a picture, I know how to stencil it like this. Now that we know that, how would that apply to something like this cherub tattoo? First of all, we are going to start with the outline of the shape. Whenever I feel like there's a solid outline, something that is overlapping something else and it needs a solid edge, I will always start with that solid edge. Whenever the edge carries on into something softer like this, I might turn it into a dotted line so that I can see that the shape is carrying on, but it's going to be more shading that communicates the change in shape as opposed to like an outline. So with these dotted lines, I can mark out where I think that the highlight is for this particular area, for the arm. For the neck, if I feel like this overlap stops around here, you can see that the dotted lines become further apart to show that it's more broken up. And the more solid it gets, the more solid my line gets. Once I take the picture away, we can see that the shape and the dotted lines in the stencil really communicate what's going on in the picture. And so if I just for now focus on highlights, it allows me to basically work in a method and in order. And I will sometimes tattoo the same way. Let's say if I'm doing this arm, I will put all of the lighter shading in so that I can separate the highlights from the lightest tones. And then I can go in and I can begin to blend in some of these darker tones onto the tattoo. Then if we look really carefully, we can see that there's a very slightly darker shadow on this side. And that's just going to tell me that this is basically like our reflected highlight like we saw on the sphere. And then before we know it, we have a clear method of how we're going to break down a reference picture, stencil it. The way that I've stenciled it is going to contribute to the way that I'm going to do the tattoo. And all of a sudden, I'm breaking down reference pictures. I'm learning how to make a good, clean stencil that is easily readable and translated. Once that stencil's on skin, I know exactly how I'm going to break down the tattoo and approach the tattoo with a method because I've already gone through that method by breaking down a reference picture and making my stencil. So if you find yourself rushing through a stencil, if you're unsure about how you're breaking down a picture to make a stencil, you're going to run into much bigger problems when you're doing the tattoo because your tattoo is going to rely on the type of method that would contribute to making you a good stencil. And the reason why all of that is so important is because now you're not just relying on copying a picture, you have a method and a process that actually works that you can rely on. Your tattoos are going to be more organic, more professional looking, and you're going to be so much more confident and happy with the finished results in your artwork. My students at the Buzz Academy are doing everything from getting themselves tattoo apprenticeships to learning how to draw better, tattoo better. Teaching yourself to draw and tattoo is going to waste so much time and you don't know if you're going to develop bad habits along your way. Having an experienced mentor is going to cut down valuable time. It's going to give you a roadmap so that you know you're learning the right things at the right time. If you want to become the next student of the Buzz Academy, the link is in the description below.